G'day my fellow Conservatives in Australia, it's CPAP Bunner. Listen folks, it's the word has got about that the Nambour boy is back again. And you know who do I mean by that? The member for Gritfths, Kevin Rudd, who has had himself installed as Prime Minister of Australia, not only with the support of the AWU, faceless union men again, but also with Bill Shorten deciding to desert Julia Gillard. And again, the second time in 3 years, an incumbent Prime Minister has been stabbed in the back by her own party. Again, what is it? Just 2 months, just over 2 months until the next federal election, September 14th. Not long to wait. And again, the Labor Party has decided to do this. Stab an incumbent member in the back. Last time, it was Julia Gillard, the AWU and the faceless union men, who dispatched Kevin Rudd. Now, it's been reversed with the same players, plus Bill Shorten, again, and the AWU, who have stabbed Julia Gillard in the back. And today on the TV we see Kevin Rudd making his grandstand speeches, saying to Tony Abbott, I want to debate you. Yeah, go ahead, come and debate me, says Kevin, making these grandstand statements. Pity is, how about doing it under the area of a called election? Of course, Kevin Rudd didn't make any remarks about calling an election today, Friday the 28th of June. All he did was make his grandstand statements. He even claimed that the Howard government, and that of Tony Abbott as well, backflipped on the ETS. Pity Kevin forgot to tell us this, that when he tried to introduce the ETS twice into Parliament and pass it up to the Senate, it was the Greens that knocked it in the head on both occasions. The Greens. Not the LNP, not the Liberals, not the National Party, but the Greens. He claimed that Howard and Abbott backflipped on the ETS. No, they didn't. No, they didn't backflip on the ETS. John Howard always said that if he was going to introduce an ETS policies and carbon trading and so forth, then the rest of the major economies throughout the world must do so. And then Australia would sign up. But that didn't occur with the major economic powers, except in the EU, but you can see how much trouble they're in. So, fundamentally, John Howard was correct. And the people of Australia voiced their opinion loud and clear in the last federal election in 2010 that they did not support a carbon tax. No party in Australia except the Greens, major party that is, except the Greens, had a carbon tax as part of their policies and went to the last federal election in 2010 with. The Labor Party didn't, the Liberal Party didn't, the National Party didn't. None of the major parties had a carbon tax as one of their policies. Not one. Because we thought, at last, the government is, or the federal parties are listening to us, including the federal government. But obviously that wasn't the case. But Kevin Rudd is not going to dispose of the carbon tax. He wants to change the marketing value of the carbon tax itself. Instead of being a standing area of $23 a tonne, it could be any price. Needless to say, he forgot to tell his news audience today that the current carbon pricing in the EU is less than $5 a tonne. There's a lot of things Kevin Rudd forgot to tell us. He also forgot to tell us that in March of this year, he said he would not challenge Julia Gillard for the leadership again. Was that a lie when he said that, or is it a lie now? Or he just simply forgot he said it? Or was it just a tossed out words just to throw a bone to the media and to the Labor Party? And of course, Tony Abbott is correct in saying the Liberals and the Nationals, the coalition, offer stable party politics, a stable party. There is no division. There is debate between members, of course, but there is no division, and they're stable and adequate to lead. The Labor Party, on the other hand, in the last 3 years, or if you want to call it 6 years, have shown nothing but division and dysfunction as a political party. And we are to trust these people with another 3 years, and who's to say that if Kevin Rudd wins the election, that his own party don't turn around and knife him in the back 6 months from now, or 7 months, or 8 months, or 12 months, whatever the case may be. Who's to say they're not going to do a third effort and dispense with him? After all, it was their party that claims they despised Kevin Rudd, that no one in the caucus liked Kevin Rudd. They all thought he was a dictatorial bully and so forth, and that's their words, not mine. And this is what we end up with. This clown from Nambour, this member for Gritfths, who thinks all the people in Queensland are going to fall lockstep in behind him. Well, I'm a Queenslander, and I can tell you this, I ain't going to fall in lockstep behind him, because I find him nothing more than a narcissistic, egotistical person. And I regret I won't call him Prime Minister, because he isn't my Prime Minister, because as such he didn't win an election in 2013 to become Prime Minister of Australia. He wasn't voted into place by, how would you say, the people of Australia to be Prime Minister, nor are any members of his cabinet at the moment. They were all ministers of the Crown, and that was it. And Julia Gillard, if you like her or you don't, I don't particularly like her, was the Prime Minister. And it's been Kevin Rudd's absolute pleasure for the last 3 years to pull down Prime Minister Julia Gillard. Ludicrous as it is. It's ridiculous. And they expect people like myself to say, oh well, at least the Labor Party are trying. Yeah, trying to destroy themselves. They've just created another division amongst themselves. And it'll have to be another political party like the Liberals and Nationals to pull this country up by the bootstraps. We've got to get rid of this mob in Canberra called the Labor Party and their union mates, because they offer us nothing but unstable government and dysfunctional party politics. And that's my say, and I'm going to turn this off now. Bye all, have a good day, and remember, we will get an election sooner or later, but we don't bloody know when.